Welcome back.
To counterculture.
Right there.
I love it. Love it. Hey, we are so glad that you joined us at this moment. Had you joined us a couple moments earlier, it would be a totally different conversation. But we're talking about things that go against
Culture.
the culture.
The culture.
I heard that I have to talk louder or sit up straight. Not sitting up straight, so we're going to talk
No
louder.
one's ever told me to talk louder.
My
They've told me to be quiet. They've told me to talk softer.
Could you tone it down?
But you know, I can't. I have that preacher whisper. You know what the preacher whisper is. You sit up on the platform and the preacher thinks he's whispering, saying, "Did you see that dress she's wearing?
That is such.
It makes her look 20 pounds heavier." No preacher has ever said that. He's thought it, but never said it.
Preacher hearing works that way too, where they're trying to whisper to you what they were at the altar for.
Yeah, right.
And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
You have hemorrhoids? No.
That's exactly right. Excellent. So that fits
Enough of this
perfectly
nonsense.
In. That's right. James chapter 2.
Right.
Talks about the issue that I want to bring up to you today. You ready?
I am.
All right, here we go. My brothers, show no partiality as you hold faith in our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory. That's my question to you, Sir Pastor Dr. Mark. James tells us, this is not a question, this is not a suggestion, this is not a when you feel like it, this is not a, hey, we know that some people are real hard to work with and other people are really easy to work with. James says, show no partiality. In our culture today, partiality is woven into the fabric of our culture. Right? It's just everywhere. Right? We see it, whether we're at the grocery store, right? I think it's funny. I was watching the other day when a lady walked up to one of the nice workers at a nice store and said, hey, do you have any more of this? Right? And the lady, without blinking an eye, responded back to her and said, nope, we don't have any. She said, so you don't have any out back? Nope, don't have any. So she went away. Not even a couple minutes later, another lady came up and said, hey, do you have the same exact item, right? And the lady says, well, let me go back and check for you. Now, that is partiality at its finest, right? Nope, don't have any. Nope, none out back. Nothing for you. But here, I'll go back and I'll check.
No soup for you.
That's right. None of us want to be treated that way. Mm-hmm. But we treat people that way at times. So in this culture that we live in, if we want to be counterculture, how do we not show partiality?
The ground at the foot of the cross is level.
I love that.
I do love that.
I don't act like it all the time, but I love it.
It's consider others better than yourself. We're told, and Paul says that, I think.
Only the people that we want to.
Only the people we want to. I think it's it's called humility, and it's remembering that. In reality, everybody matters. Now, are there going to be people that you connect with better than others? It doesn't mean that you don't, I don't treat them as well. You just may not connect as well with them. There's this information, misnomer, whatever you want to call it, that in our churches, we have to keep everybody. We have to welcome everybody, but not everybody's going to stay at our church. And there's so much pressure put on heads. Well, we got to keep them. Why? Maybe they're not supposed to be at our church. How about we just treat them well? I was in a ministry at one point, and I remember one time there was a person participating in this seminar, and I remember someone said, "Well, we have to make this a good experience for them because they know a lot of people." And I said, wait a minute, we need to have them have a good experience because they matter and they need the help.
Yeah, they need Jesus.
It isn't about what they can do for us. It's about we're here for them.
Yep.
When we've lost this idea of servanthood too, and washing other people's feet. No, do you have to literally do that? No. But what does it mean for me to serve you?
I love what you just said there. That I think partiality stems from this idea of, do I need you? Can I use you?
Yes.
Is there something I need from you?
Right.
Right. And so if I see, we see it all the time in churches. A musician walks in our front door, and we treat them as if they're royalty.
Yes.
Right. A custodian walks in our door, and we may treat them well because we need a custodian, but we're not treating them like royalty. Right. And then everybody else falls in between somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, could we see us needing you? Yeah. I mean, the truth is, people are expendable based on how we think we could use them.
Mm-hmm.
We want to keep our teachers.
Yes.
We want to keep our musicians. Right.
I remember I had a couple moving from my church one time, and someone came up to me, a little goodbye party for him or something like that, and someone said, "Well, what are we going to do now?" And I said, "What?"
The world
said, "Well, what are we going to do now? He does so much." I said, and they kind of been starting to disconnect from the church. I said, they haven't been doing that much, and other people have been doing it. And I said, well, they give so, and it was very interesting because like 2 weeks later, another couple showed up at church.
Yep.
Who pretty much, if my understanding is, from what I was told, gave the same amount this other couple did. Did they do as much? No, but we were having less to do because things were being done.
Yeah.
We think sometimes there's only certain people. We got to pull together in here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in situations where I had one little ragamuffin lady in my church that would go by me. She wouldn't even stop to say hi to me.
Yeah.
And I found out why. It's because the previous pastor had not treated her well. He didn't even want anything to do with her because she was a little ragamuffin.
Yep.
And this lady is the biggest sweetheart in the world.
But he could.
And I finally said, "Don't you walk by your pastor and
Yeah.
not say hi to me?" And now she makes a point of saying hi to me. She's even swatted me a few times. Pastor.
You got to that level.
I got to that level where yes,
where you
and it's a beautiful thing though.
But again, it's amazing to me how we just naturally we look at somebody and we put value with them. Either they have value, they're going to listen to us. I was just telling somebody, it's funny at church. We find the people who want us. Man, we want to be around them. And the people who don't, I was visiting a family yesterday and, found out that basically they're just not coming to church. They can do anything else and go everywhere else. They're just not coming to church, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, it used to be we went to our homebound people, right? We visited them because we wanted them to still feel like they were part of things. And now we got people who are homebound just because they want to be.
Exactly.
And so, again, we look at it and say, like, I find myself saying, why am I going to visit people
who can
come to church,
and
but just don't want to?
They don't want to. Yeah, exactly. And so let's look at that. Jesus said to his disciples when he sent them out, he goes, go to this house, and if they welcome you, great, stay there. If they don't, then shake the dust off your feet and go. He did not waste time with people that were not receptive.
Yeah.
But we hound people to come to church. And it's like, you know what? We shouldn't have to do that.
Well, again, we need to, like you said earlier, we need to love people.
Yes.
Intentionally and the same. But when it comes to that type of stuff, like, hey, listen, Jesus didn't hound people. He didn't go chase after people. You need me. You need me. Right? He waited for the people to come to him.
Yes.
He loved equality across the board.
The rich young ruler. There's a wonderful thing. Jesus looked at him, so he acknowledged him, loved him, and then let him walk.
Do you think
God is not abusive? He's like, Andy,
you're going to
come to church.
It's funny because Sunday night here we were having a Bible study, and one of the people said that at one time in Jamestown there was that type of stuff going on. There was there was a split within a church, and people were trying to go to another church, and people were physically trying to make other people come, like you need to come to this church, type of thing, getting in the way. That goes so far beyond, right? I love one of the things that you said this morning in Chasing the Wind. You talked about the fig tree that was barren, and you talked about the farmer who says, give me one more year, let me dig around it, let me do that. Sometimes things look like we're showing partiality when we're trying to do that type of thing, right? Like these trees are all bearing fruit, this one isn't. So, or this one just needs some more taking care of to level up. So I'm going to spend a little extra time, right, taking care of this one because these ones are okay.
Right.
Not everything that we see as partiality.
It is the sick who need a doctor, not the healthy. The healthy should be helping the other sick, not just sitting there and say, "Hey, doc, I want you to make sure I stay healthy." No, I don't go to my doctor and tell her, "Okay, you're not a good doctor because you're not keeping me, in shape." She goes, "You're eating peach muffins and apple fritters, too many of them. I can't do anything." There's a point that you go to the doctor not to for the doctor saying, "Yeah, you're doing okay. Keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah. It's funny because the doctors, you get sick, they spend a lot more time with you.
Yeah.
When you're not sick, you go into the office, it's 5 minutes, they see you, you look good, feel good, great, all right, we're done.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get offended by partiality that is by nature what God has called us to do. Right? Spending time with the sick, those who need him, is what he did. Right? I think the Pharisees, Sadducees, teachers of law got a little offended at points because he should have been hobnobbing with them.
Sure. Well, and I will confess that it happens with pastors too. How come they didn't ask me?
Yep.
How come the DS didn't approach me about that? How come they didn't ask me to do the wedding? How come they didn't ask me to be part of that funeral? How come I didn't get to be a part of that?
Yep. Flavor of the month.
Yeah. And it's like when our value comes down to that instead of knowing who we are in Christ. It's like a former colleague of mine would use the example. Gang members will shoot someone because they're standing on their square of the sidewalk. When your value comes down to a section of sidewalk, you have a pretty low value, sense of value of yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
When that is, and I've had to check myself a few times. Really, is this where my value is being asked to do this thing that no one's probably going to remember in 10 days anyway, or 10 hours, 10 minutes? Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Well, I think.
Or is my value from not what I do, but from whose I am and who I am?
Ooh, I love that. You know what? That is a fantastic place to leave counterculture. And come back next time, because I now have a question in my head to ask you about that very thing. We'll see you next time. Counterculture.
Grace and peace.